Alright guys, what's going on? The TheAireaidLord is back, and we are reviewing episode 12 of season 9 of The Walking Dead, entitled Guardians. Now, you guys probably saw the long hoped for and awaited return of my reaction videos, and I did a different version, an abridged version of my reaction videos, and that reaction for episode 12 is already up on my YouTube channel. I will put the link down in the description for those of you who are interested. A little different from my previous reaction videos where I was doing the full episode, but because of copyright restrictions and other things, I have decided to do a shorter abridged version, and you also get the funniest moments. I think the moments that I put into this reaction are the moments where I'm reacting the most to what's happening on screen, and moving forward, I will be doing this style for the following episodes for 13, 14, 15, and 16 of season 9, and potentially moving forward into season 10. So, with all of that being said, I have actually also decided to split up the reviews and the reactions. So this video will be a separate, just done for a review, and the reaction is already up. So the reaction will be on Sunday nights, and you will get the reviews right now, Monday afternoon, evening, whatever suits your fancy, whatever time zone you are watching my content in. So today, episode 12, Guardians. Now, this episode, the pacing of this episode was a bit confusing to me, all right? And I'm going to just kind of start this vlog off with that little critique. And we get a bunch of different things. We get Alexandria, finally. I mean, it feels like it's been 5 episodes since we've had Alexandria and the politics of Alexandria. The past couple of episodes have really centered on Hilltop since Lydia was captured there. The Whispers confronted them in the previous episode at the Hilltop. Henry was learning blacksmithing at the Hilltop. That's where he met Lydia. We had all of the action going down at the Hilltop. But Alexandria seems to be the source of this X's mystery. It's also the source of Michonne's anger against the other communities, and it seems like the other members of her council are not happy with her recent decisions. You got Father Gabriel, Aaron, Eugene, and Laura from the Saviors all on this council, and they feel like no matter what they say, Michonne is going to veto them. Because she's the widow of Rick, as everyone thinks that Rick is dead, so she is the the spouse who's really trying to further Rick Grimes' leadership and do things as he would do them. However, I don't think Rick Grimes had a divided group of communities in mind at all. When we had those first 5 episodes where Rick Grimes was in season 9, and we really had that direct adaptation from the comics, when once Rick defeats Negan and locks him in jail, he brings the Saviors into the fold. And those first 5 episodes adapted that, and they showed the Saviors trying to get the sanctuary growing stuff, trying to get the Saviors immersed into the other communities. But something happens. It didn't work out, and we're still trying to pull those pieces together. But Michonne is not having it. She doesn't want to go to the fair. She's very obtuse in this episode on a number of things. The other one is Negan. She talks to Negan, and he says, "Look, I am willing to be rehabilitated. I stepped outside my cell. I came back, and I want to help." Now, this excites me. As you guys know, in my previous videos, I was a little worried about what they were doing with Negan. He had his big exploration episode in episode 9. He came and said to Judith, "Look, there's nothing for me. I'm just going to go back to my prison cell." I was worried that the show would focus on the Whispers and just forget about Negan being locked up in his cell. But the fact that he had those conversations with Michonne, some of them are taken from the comic. He has those conversations with Rick. He says that he's like, "Hey, I could have killed you. I was inside your home, but I'm trying to build trust." And this is those events. Like it's hard for us to wrap our head around because it's only been a year. But in the show, it's been 6 years, 7.5 technically, because there was a 1.5 year time jump after season 8 to season 9, and then after Rick vanished, there was a 6-year time jump. So it's been 7.5 years since Negan was defeated. And that's a long time to be in jail. And I feel like he really has served his sentence, in my opinion. Like, if he was to go to jail for a set period of time, like, the prisoner, you go to jail, you go on probation. There's certain standards, at least in different court systems, that decide the severity of a punishment. But I think that Negan is at the rehabilitation state. And again, Michonne is not, she's very much locked in her ways as things were before. As things were after whatever happened in Alexandria that went wrong, Michonne is just almost in like a United States isolationist mindset before World War II, where the United States didn't want anything to do with Europe or anything outside of its own boundaries. That's how Alexandria is acting. And Siddiq has that quote, "What happens to Alexandria if the kingdom falls? We need to be a part of this fair." They keep pressuring her. She's saying no. And it was a little frustrating throughout the episode, because I felt myself rooting against Michonne so much in this episode, whether it was how she was dealing with Judith, how she was dealing with Negan, how she was dealing with her own counsel and going power crazy. Even Negan calls her out on it. Like, hey, I can hear everything that's going on, and you're using your veto power, and you seem to just be overriding like, what's the point of a council? Like, Negan's thinking to himself, I used to do this shit with Gavin and Simon and Regina. Like, they were all my lieutenants and right-hand men, but I was the guy swinging the bat. Everyone said, we're Negan, I'm Negan, you're Negan. They all believed in me as like a god, and so I had the veto power, and that veto power was my baseball bat. You could say to some extent that Michonne's sword is her veto power, but or her baseball bat, but it was a little frustrating. It was a little frustrating to see her, just because as a viewer that she's holding the community back. She's holding them back. Now, again, we don't know what happened, and it from all rumors and speculation, it seems like episode 14, so not the next episode, but the episode after, we're going to get our flashbacks, and we're going to finally figure out what the hell happened with this. What happened post Rick Grimes? I am going to upload that video that I made last week on it, where I do some speculation, but it's ludicrous to me that something so big could have divided these communities to the point where Michonne is staunchly against interacting with the kingdom, with Carol, someone she's known for many, many seasons since the prison. Like, these people, a lot of these characters have history, and now they've taken up residence in certain communities. Like, Tara's all about the hilltop, Michonne's all about Alexandria, Carol is all about the kingdom in Ezekiel. Like, there's no trade, there's no coming together, there's no Toledo or any of those things that Rick had in those first few episodes of season 9. It just doesn't exist. We're going to figure out why, but it was frustrating as a viewer to be seeing that from my perspective. And then you had the Whispers. You had a little bit of their culture, a little bit of the horror, and just how evil and sadistic Alpha is. I must say, I was really coming around to the character, and just in terms of being frightened from a villain, because you feel like Henry, because Henry's tied to the tree, he gets captured, and Alpha is dealing with two dissenters, two Whispers that are trying to turn against her. To be fair, they do have a legitimate point, because they're like, you tell us that we don't go back for anybody and that we don't retrieve lost Whisperers. We just leave them to nature. Yet, with Lydia, we went through the trouble of capturing 2 survivors, and we gave 2 back for 1. So we went through all this effort to get your daughter, and that seems to break the rules. And again, she's ruling through fear, and she also has her big Hulk, Beta, who, oh my gosh, perfect casting for Ryan Hurst to be Beta. Absolutely perfect. And just the deep voice, he's just a giant walking tank, and it's incredible to behold, to see his presence come alive. Literally, it's like he jumped off the pages of the comics and is running around the show. It's really something to behold. But yeah, I mean, fear is immense. Fear is immense with the Whisperers. At least with the Saviors, you had Negan's comedy, and so you had the fear in that episode where he bashed the Abraham and Glenn skull in, but there was the fear of numbers, the fear of manpower, but, Negan's joking around, even Simon. Like, a lot of Simon and Negan were very kind of comical villains, like Joker in a way, where they were capable of great horror and evil, but they also had, like, a funny, comical side where they were trying to... And again, Negan's intentions were a lot like Rick. He was trying to bring all these groups together. They were trying to fight for the greater good, civilization, but he was just doing it from a tyrannical, authoritarian perspective. The Whisperers don't want any of that. They don't agree, because Rick and Negan were just two sides of the same coin. Alpha's using a totally different currency, all right? Just to clarify on that account. But there were a couple of tidbits I liked. There's a point where Henry's tied to the tree, and then Lydia kind of walks over, and she shows him the hilltop coin that they had discussed in the previous episode. After Lydia had changed into her new clothes, she was playing around with this little coin that Henry said the hilltop made, and she still had it with her. She had it like a medallion kind of around her neck, and then she hid it under her shirt, and I was like, is this it? To me, that looked like a sign that she was still on Henry's side. But we never got to see if, like, her true loyalties, because she was tasked with killing Henry in the dark at the end of the episode. But then Daryl and Connie came in with the Whisperer horde, and we never got to see what would have happened. Like, if Daryl and Connie hadn't arrived in time, like, would Lydia have tried to swing the knife at Alpha? But here's something really chilling that frightened me about what Alpha said. She said, if you don't kill Henry, I'll just have Beta kill the both of you. And I was thinking to myself, like, wait, what? I understand killing Henry. Like, if Lydia doesn't do it, then Beta would. But why would Beta kill Lydia? It's as if this girl is not her daughter. Like, Alpha is so separate and just animalistic from her that, like, if she was bitten by a walker the next day, she wouldn't care. But we know that that's bullshit to a degree, because she, just like those Whisperers who turned against her, they made the point that she went against the principles of her group by going through all that effort to get Lydia back. If Lydia truly meant nothing to her and she was just another Whisperer, she would never have gone to the hilltop and tried to get her back. That she would never have done that. But there's a love for Lydia locked inside of Alpha so far deep in this chasm that is her heart. And it's there, but it's again shrouded by this savage, animalistic mentality that she's purged over her people and really over herself more than anyone else. We see this in a conversation she has with Beta where he takes her mask off, and she's telling a story about how Lydia got mixed up in some plastic tangling back before the apocalypse happened when she was really young, and she let Lydia get herself out of the situation, and then Alpha's like, are you okay? And it seems like it's a motherly moment where Alpha's going to be like maternal instincts, and she's going to protect her child. But then at the end of the story, it takes a complete 180 turn, and she's like, and then I slapped her across the face. It's like, whoa, like, okay, like, first of all, where was the dad? But I mean, maybe he was just cowering because this woman is such a force of nature. Even before the apocalypse, she had this brutality locked inside her, and the apocalypse really just brought it out and emboldened it. But, like, even a story that I thought was going one way, she just completely flips, and she's like, yeah, and then I hit her. It's like, whoa, like, a little extreme there. I mean, it's just, like, I'm trying to find, like, even in that instance where I was looking for a little redeeming quality, you could see the sadness kind of setting into her face, and then just, like a light switch, it just, like, changes, and she's just evil and animalistic again. Like, there's no human or anything. Human is just, like, an absent word from her. And it's really chilling. And the thing is, Beta is really removed from that. Like, for me, he's more of a bodyguard for Alpha. He really is. He's the muscle. He's a giant brute. And I honestly think that the duo is what keeps those Whisperers in line, because Alpha is the philosophy, she's the fear, but then Beta also offers the physical strength. Like, he is the physical force that can back up the philosophy and really hammer in the point that we mean what we say. And so that's how I see the dynamic right now. Now, one criticism I guess I'll bring to the end of the episode. So, like, throughout the episode, Daryl and Connie are tracking Henry. We don't see too many scenes. They do come across the point where Henry was captured. They find his stick. And then Daryl is hiding in the bushes, and he found the Whisperer camp, and he sees, like, a horde of walkers. There are these walkers. They used them originally to eat the bodies of the Whisperer dissenters. Alpha and Beta did. And so Daryl sees this. Now, there's a scene where Daryl puts on a Whisperer mask and uses that camouflage, basically fighting fire with fire, and takes the zombie horde and throws it upon the Whisperer camp, and that's how he's able to rescue Henry and Lydia. Now, this happened so quickly. It happened so quickly, and I almost didn't realize that Daryl had a Whisperer mask on. I almost didn't realize that Daryl had put that disguise on. It was you really had to be paying attention because it happened so quickly. And then at the end of the episode, he throws the mask on the ground. But it was just like, okay, like, Lydia's about to kill Henry, and then a few walkers bite the couple of Whisperers who are caught off guard. And then all of a sudden, like, Daryl is just he's just right next to Henry, and he's like, hey, like, let's get out of here. And it's like, whoa, like, I would have liked to have seen. So here's what I would have liked to have seen. And I guess the focus of the action was on whether Lydia was going to kill Henry, like, that whole thing, like the tension in that clearing was where the action was placed. I would have liked to have seen Daryl and Connie gather, like, I wanted to see Daryl putting on the Whisperer mask. Like, I wanted him to come to the realization that he had to fight the enemy by using the enemy's greatest weapon and their most savage tool, and actually physically put the mask on and then gather the walkers. Like, I wanted to see him mimicking the way the Whisperers act, like the lumbering nature, like how they mimic the zombies, and then, like, taking the horde and pushing it upon the people who use them. Like, hey, this is your greatest weapon? Well, here, I'm going to use it against you, and just push the horde onto them. And that's awesome, but I don't understand why we didn't see more of it. It just seemed like a very brief scene, and then it just cut quickly, and then the episode's over, and then they just escape. So, for me, I don't understand why they were just so quick with it. They were just so quick with it, and I wish they had more. They had more time. They had more time dedicated to that scene. I think that's my main complaint. I went into this vlog thinking that was my main complaint with this. Some of the pacing things, because the other Alexandria things we get is the romance with Rosita. I have to admit there were some funny scenes, like where Eugene has the map talking about, like, ways to discuss Rosita's pregnancy with Father Gabriel and Sadiq, and then they all go in the house. Like, it was very weird. Like, they put a lot of focus on it. For an episode that was meant to focus on Whisperers and Michonne's decision with the fair and Negan being in jail again, it seems like the whole Rosita pregnancy plot, like, they focused on it a lot. And I'm like, why is that plot line more important than learning about the Whisperers or showing Daryl using the weapon of the Whisperers, their masks, and, like, that was the turning point. That was the turning point of the whole episode, and that's going to drive the action in the next episode, where we have some pretty intense fight scenes. Lydia is back with Henry and the group. So, like, those things are important, and it happened in just kind of like a very, very brisk pace. And I almost feel like if they had cut down some of the Rosita nonsense, I think that they could have probably had more time with the Whisperers, and they are our villains. So, again, is the Rosita plotline going anywhere? I'm just trying to think to myself, because it seemed to get resolved in this episode. Like, it was just like a misunderstanding. Like, Sadiq fucked Rosita Father Gabriel wants to be in a relationship with her. Eugene, also wants to be, but he accepts that he can't. Like, it's like, okay, guys, like, I don't think you needed that much screen time to divulge into something like that. I mean, like, we think about romances that are important. Like, the Henry Lydia romance is important because it deals with the enemy. It deals with the enemy, and it also deals with a character who's trying to get away from that, which is Lydia. So, just my opinion. I think that's where they should have focused more of their efforts, because I wanted to see, like, it was just so annoying. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, the walkers are eating the whispers. This is amazing. Oh wait, the scene's over. Like, it just, like, all of a sudden the episode was just over in like half a second. I was like, what? Like, I want to see more of that. And so anyway, those are my complaints. It's tough because there were some really good moments of this episode and some ones that frustrated me a little bit. I'll give it a solid 8. I'll give it an 8 right down the middle. B-, again, because there were some really good elements of this episode, some things that they brought back, like the hilltop coin that Lydia took. But there were just some things that, like, they just lingered on them, like Rosita's romance, like why do we have to, like, there was a scene with her, like, changing pants and, like, seeing how far the spandex, like, expanded for her, like, waist and, you know, the child she's gonna have. It's like, again, like, unless they're setting this up for tragedy, unless they're gonna kill off Rosita, then maybe they were building up our expectations and just to knock them down, which they've done before. But again, I don't think that should come at the cost of the villains that you've been building up for so long. Like, you should have had more time with that final scene. I mean, you had a fair devotion to the other scenes, like with Alpha and Lydia's conversations post her coming out of prison. Alpha explaining the ideology of the Whispers to Lydia. You could see Lydia, like, fighting in her head which side she wants to be on. She's dressed in clothes that are very different from her group. She doesn't have her mask anymore, and she sticks out like a sore thumb. The whole episode, she didn't put on any Whisper camouflage at all, and it really signaled to me that she had made up her mind, that she had chosen the hilltop, that she had chosen Henry and civilization, that she was like after she mentally figured out, like, how her dad really died and the lies that Alpha told her and the abuse, and Daryl and Henry kind of brought her around. I think that was it. Like, I think a switch went off in her head, and I think she was lamenting the fact that she had to go back to the Whisperers secretly, but Henry obviously made it easier, the fact that they were able to escape. Although she did argue a little bit at the end of the episode. Henry's like, no, I'm not leaving here without Lydia. And Lydia's like, no, just go, blah, blah, blah. Like, she even seemed hesitant to leave. Maybe that's just because she's afraid of what the Whisperers, especially Alpha, will do to retaliate. Like, that's my opinion. That she's afraid of the retaliation that's going to come from this group. That she knows what they're capable of. However, like, she would have been punished severely if she had stayed. Alpha would have, like, beat her or something, because she would have blamed Henry and the Hilltop, that group, for what they did. Like, they killed more of their people. Those walkers murdered a few more Whispers. So Alpha, at this point, it's reminding me a little bit of, like, what happened with Negan, where before Negan was introduced, like, a lot of his saviors were dying, and then it built up to a point where he's like, I want vengeance for these deaths. Like, enough is enough. So yeah, that's my rating for the episode. That's episode 12, Guardians. I'll be doing a predictions for episode 13 following. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Again, I just thought the pacing was a bit odd. It looks like next week's episode is going to be action-packed to the max, and I think it's going to be really cool. We've got some other plot lines that they've introduced, such as, like, these marauders that are trying to steal supplies, the warning sign. It's going to be interesting. There's just so many cool different plot things that are kind of coming into the fray. They actually tease the radio a little bit, that radio that Eugene's been working on, because that connects to a future group way beyond after the Whisperers. And it's cool that the show, there's all these little seeds and hints and they have these little things that they use for imagery to really tease where the show is going in the future. So I like it. Angela Kang's still doing a great job, and I just think the pacing needed to be a little bit tightened up on this episode. I could have done without some of the Rosita romance stuff, and I wanted to get more of Negan, more of the Whisperers. I mean, that's really where my attention is being drawn. So, all right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you for another episode, and yeah, peace out.